Blog Talk Radio. Blog Talk Radio.
Franchise interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews. Welcome to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship. Listen to interviews with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys. And now, welcome your host, Marty McDermott, and Franchise Interviews.
Hi everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 8 years, we've been asking the entrepreneurs all along. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews. We have a great show today. We're meeting with Darren Guccione, the CEO and co-founder of Keeper Security, Inc. And Keeper Security, Inc. is the creator of Keeper, the world's most downloaded password manager and digital vault. We're going to talk to Darren about that in just a moment on Franchise Interviews. So stick around because we got a great show.
Are you looking for a franchise that delivers? Businesses will always need shipping, and for more than 25 years, loyal customers have depended on Unishippers for reliable savings and exceptional customer service. Unishippers is focused on just one thing: helping small and medium-sized businesses save time and money on all their shipping needs. And as the largest reseller of complete shipping services in the country, we have the buying power to ensure that we succeed. The Unishippers franchise offers low startup costs, no equipment or real estate required because they're not retail, residual income, and a quality of life and work-life balance. For more information on becoming a Unishippers franchisee, go to www.unishippers.com and click Franchise Opportunities, or call Franchise Development at 801-708-5822. That's 801-708-5822.
Are you one of those special people who are willing to go after your dreams and goals? Are you ready to fulfill that dream of owning your own business with the security of a proven brand? The opportunity to take control of your future and own a Rita's Italian Ice franchise is within your reach.
Rita's is seeking success-oriented individuals who are ready to make a change in their life, and Rita's offers unparalleled training and support to assure your success. And did you know the frozen treat industry is a recession-proof industry, and there are Rita's in 23 states currently with 540 stores open. Rita's Italian Ice has been around for 25 years and is listed as a top-performing franchise by the Wall Street Journal.
Now here's the really good part. Rita's Italian Ice is a unique and amazing taste treat. It's smoother than a snow cone, and it combines ice with real fresh fruit. The real fruit adds dramatically to the taste, and it comes in over 40 flavors. The ice and fruit are mixed on site and made fresh daily, and it is delicious.
You'll want to know more about this exciting and successful franchise opportunity. Go to www.ownaritas.com and get all your questions answered. That's www.ownaritas.com to take control of your dreams and future today. You don't want to wait any longer to be a part of this adventure. www.ownaritas.com.
Franchise Interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 8 years we've been asking the entrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and as we were saying earlier, we have a great show today. We're meeting with Darren Guccione, the CEO and co-founder of Keeper Security, Inc. And Keeper Security, Inc. is the creator of Keeper, the world's most downloaded password manager and digital vault. Hey, Darren, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
Good. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Darren. We would like to ask our guests, where are you calling from today, Darren?
Chicago.
Ah, fantastic. Did it finally warming up there, Darren?
Yeah, we have one of the first days of sun this year, so it's beautiful out. I think we're expecting 70-degree weather.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, you guys deserve it. I know it was a rough winter. It's the same here in eastern Pennsylvania. I'm really happy to have you on the show today, Darren. I was telling Aaron Gessner, who you and I both know, that, last year I got an email from my web service provider that I recently changed my password, and I did nothing of the sort. So I called the company up, and sure enough, someone tried, breaking into or hacking into our site. So I think everyone believes that, having your website hacked or your private information stolen will happen to somebody else, but that's not the case, is it?
No, I mean, it's pretty common. I think, specifically 3 out of every 4 websites out there will eventually be hacked, and it's basically a cybersecurity war.
Yeah. It was terrifying, Darren, when it happened, because I'm connected all day, so of course we found out about it right away. But I said, my God, what if I was away on vacation, or God only knows what would have happened when I came back, to the website. So your service is so important. Maybe we could start off with what is Keeper and how does it work, Darren?
All right. Well, Keeper is a password manager and digital vault. So just imagine having your own private, secure, ubiquitous vault for storing all of the passwords and information that's sacred to you. So everything from login credentials to all of your websites, secret codes, credit card information, bank information, routing numbers, images of your driver's license, passport, secret documents, secret photos, files, videos, everything that you want completely encrypted and private is kept in this very simple and straightforward vault that syncs and works with all of your devices. So it works on smartphones, tablets, computers, and also integrates with your web browser. So you never really have to remember any passwords ever again. It's very easy to use.
Which is fantastic, Darren, because, if you think about it, we have enough things to remember during the course of the day, right? So instead of, writing these things on, little Post-it notes or, it really frees up your brain, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's essentially like a gigantic second brain, and the beauty of the product is that it makes security and convenience one beautiful thing. So it's really a unifying type of product from that perspective. And traditionally, when you hear about these security products out there, most people think, oh, this is going to be more difficult to use. It's a pain in the butt. I don't want to have to even think about it. And with Keeper, we've really tried to work on just simplicity and security in one platform.
It was a great entrepreneurial story, too. When I was reading about, your biography, Darren, and your business partner, you were talking about this thing. Was it on the way to China or coming back from China? Is that how the whole idea?
Yeah, it was on the way to China. We had a lot of flight time back in late 2008, and we were in a different business. We were in the hardware business at that time, and the iPhone had come out, and we were, checking it out. We were like, wow, there's really no, app out there to protect users on their smartphones. And so we decided to create Keeper, and the rest is history.
That's fantastic. So you launched a business solution for Keeper in 2013 called Keeper for Groups. Can you tell us how businesses utilize it, Darren?
Yeah, so we have, thousands of businesses that use Keeper for Groups to basically protect and secure their passwords and private files, photos, and videos. Most often it's used for password management inside a company. So, for example, like if we looked at a franchise, like Chipotle. Chipotle is one of our customers. Their IT department uses Keeper to basically secure and protect, their most sensitive and private information in the company, such as passwords or secret files or whatever you have that you need to protect from hackers. And it's a beautiful application in that if I was sharing it, let's say you and I are in a project team together and you say, Darren, I need the Federal Express record. Can you share that login credential with me? I just go into my Keeper Vault, I click share, and it'll share the FedEx record with you. And when you go into your vault, the FedEx record is there, and all of the login activity, the website, the way it launches, the way you log in, is really one button click. And it's extremely secure because everything happens within the Keeper Vault.
That's fantastic. Many of the business breaches over the past few years, Darren, they've been due to weak employee passwords. What are some tips for helping businesses create stronger passwords for employees and protecting those passwords?
Well, I think the key is use a password manager, not just pitching Keeper, but straight up just use a password manager, because what a password manager will do is generate high-strength random passwords for you. And typically a high-strength password is anything over 8 characters. It includes letters, numbers, and symbols. And it's something that, a hacker would have an extremely difficult time figuring out. And the beauty of the password manager is that you don't have to remember that password. It does it for you. It auto-fills that login, for you. So when you go to like Amazon or any website, it'll automatically fill in your username and that high-strength password and log you into that site. So you never have to remember a password again.
That's fantastic. Usernames as well, right, Darren? I mean, I was trouble with usernames. Trying to remember them as well is just just as difficult as the password sometimes.
Yeah. So, for example, if you look at just how I use it, I have over 300 Keeper records in my vault, and I have 4 Amazon accounts. One for my wife, one for me, one for my company. So when I go to autofill my login credentials into Amazon, Keeper will give me the list of different usernames because with each username is a separate password. So it handles multiple usernames or accounts for websites with great ease and efficiency.
That's fantastic. I heard you mention in some of your interviews zero-knowledge architecture, Darren. Could you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, so Keeper is designed and created on a zero-knowledge security platform, and what that means is that we never have access to or knowledge of the master password that you use or the encryption key that is used to encrypt and decrypt your information. So all of the encryption and decryption of your password as well as your records stored in the vault always occurs locally on your device. And we always make sure that resides with the user so that they're in full control of their records. So that's, that makes us a zero-knowledge platform.
That's fantastic. So the majority of our listeners, Darren, we call them aspiring franchipreneurs. Many of them want to get into buying a franchise. What sort of credentials, certifications should franchisees look for when seeking a third-party cybersecurity provider?
I think number one is, make sure that the provider is SOC certified, and that stands for Statement of Controls. So a SOC 2 certification is really one of the highest certifications you can have, which basically says that the security provider, safeguards confidentiality, privacy, and security safeguards for their users, and that's really important. And our company is SOC certified by virtue of Keeper. We've had 2 SOC audits to date, and we undergo extreme, high security protocols, audits, vulnerability testing, and what have you. But I would look for that. I would look for certifications like Trust-E for the payment security platform. McAfee is great. But there's several security protocols that, you should look out for. And if anyone wants a general background, they can just go to keepersecurity.com/security and read about the different certs that we have.
Oh, that's fantastic. Maybe we could talk a little bit about, when are anti-fraud services necessary, Darren?
Did you say anti-fraud?
Yeah, anti-fraud, yeah.
I think they're always necessary. You know, any application that receives payments or goods or services, any type of value that's created or driven on a website or even locally at a franchise, if it's a brick and mortar location or if it's a website, the treatment of fraud protection needs to be pervasive and consistent. So I think it's absolutely critical.
That's fantastic. So many businesses, they have a bring-your-own-device policy at work, Darren. I mean, do you have any tips about how to keep employees' sensitive work information safe on their personal smart devices?
Yeah, you know, the Keeper for Groups product, as well as some of the other products out there, address BYOD, and that's one of the reasons why we created Keeper for Groups, is because it's just commonplace. You know, all of us as consumers typically own a smartphone, and all of us as consumers work somewhere, right? We're all typically employed either for ourselves or for a company, and we pose a threat and a concern for companies' IT administrators, right? They're trying to figure out how to provision and protect and control devices that they don't own. And that's the biggest challenge is, you know, how do you handle a BYOD device? I don't own the device. I know the employee has their own device, and I know that they're using it for work. So how do I, you know, secure and safeguard that device? And that's why, you know, companies have really embraced our product, is because we make that process inexpensive and very easy to use, and of course, it's hyper secure.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I've heard you mention on interviews as well, Darren, you've used the term the Internet of Things, and how will it affect the business landscape over the next few years in terms of cybersecurity?
Yeah, I think that the Internet of Things poses the largest single threat that we've probably seen in the last decade with respect to cybersecurity, just through the proliferation of devices and how many connected objects and devices there will be over the next 5 years. It's going to be in the tens of billions in terms of the devices that are in circulation. And if the proper security, you know, protocols and protections are in place on those devices, then each one of those devices is in essence like a doorway for a hacker. And so the greater number of doorways, you know, the more potential entry points for a hacker to permeate a network. And that's really the biggest problem that I see in terms of risk.
That's something. So you're launching a new identity verification platform, Darren. It's called Keeper DNA. How does that work with, you know, the Internet of Things?
Yeah, so Keeper DNA is, we're really excited about it. It's coming out pretty soon. And the way that it works is that, you know, we felt that the devices that you own essentially define who you are as a person. I know that sounds crazy, but if you think about it, if I've got, you know, for example, a smart thermostat, a smart TV, a smart watch, and I authenticate against those devices or with those devices on a daily basis, then I can use those devices per se to create a Keeper DNA profile of me. So when I step into my house or my office, Keeper DNA senses the connected objects that I've authenticated with in the past, and it uses that to confirm my identity. And it uses that to authenticate me into my Keeper vault. So it's a very elegant and secure solution for identity verification and authentication. It's unlike anything else out there, and you know, we're really excited about it.
That's amazing. It's amazing technology. In studying your background, Darren, I mean, I was mentioning earlier, I mean, the majority of our listeners, again, we call them aspiring franchipreneurs. You know, they want to go into their own business, and they're kind of like heading towards the franchise alternative. What advice would you give to them? Because you're certainly, in studying you, certainly classified as an entrepreneur. So what advice would you give to them?
Well, you know, my background is engineering technology. I'm also a CPA, and I've always had an admiration for franchises. One of the things that I love about franchises, among other things, is that you can analyze the different franchise models that are out there, the brands, the type of businesses, and you can quickly identify which ones are successful. And typically, they give you a roadmap of what you need to do to execute. When you start a business without a franchise roadmap, you typically don't necessarily know where you're necessarily going to go or wind up. And so you get a greater sense of security and guidance when you can pick a franchise model that, A, fits within, your goals in life, your interests in life, and B, provides a really sound, infrastructure for you to build a business with a great support system around you. Most businesses that are one-off businesses don't have that. So there's a greater sense of, uncertainty out there when a business owner or an entrepreneur, as you've outlined it, decides to, pursue a franchise versus doing something completely fresh and new. I think the risk profile of doing the latter is much greater. So that's my response to that.
No, it's fantastic advice. So any final thoughts, Darren, or advice to our listeners?
I think, at the end of the day, I think it comes down to just make sure that you make a small investment to honor your privacy, because essentially privacy these days is dead, and you've got to protect yourself, and it doesn't cost a lot of money these days. I think that, we work really hard to create something super secure that everyone can really afford, and our main premise behind the company is to protect our users, protect and honor their privacy and their sacred information, and that's really what we do every day. And I would say, if you're starting a franchise, just be very cognizant of making a small line item, not a large line item, but just a tiny line item on your P&L budget for cybersecurity protection. It's extremely important.
Yeah, and as we were saying earlier in the show too, Darren, is I think everyone thinks that it's not going to happen to them, right? But it usually at some point in time it does. My wife, I didn't mention earlier either, she was one of the, I think it was 6 million people that had her Social Security number taken. So
you look at look at the breach with the recent health insurance companies out there. You're talking about several 100 million Social Security numbers that were just hijacked. Yeah. I mean, just right there, you just have no idea. I mean, there are millions of people out there today, just in the United States, that are being hacked and stolen from that don't even know it yet.
Don't even know it. I know.
They don't even know it yet.
Yeah, it is. It's frightening when it happens to you. It changes your whole perspective of things. So don't wait, just because chances are, like you said, the numbers are, it is going to happen. It's just it's when is it going to happen, So I really think that this is such an important service and a great service. What's the best way for our listeners to get more information, Darren? And any website you'd like them to go to?
Yeah, they can just go to keepersecurity.com.
That's fantastic, easy enough. And I know you're a musician as well. What music do you like, Darren? Or what do you listen to these days?
I'm into former, metal. I love hard rock, classic rock, but heavy rock. I have a beautiful, gigantic print of Led Zeppelin on the wall of my office.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm going to have to interview you on that topic as well.
Right now.
That's fantastic. I'm a big fan as well, so I'll have to bring you back and we'll talk about that one as well on the show. I know you're a musician.
Sounds good.
So it was great to have you on the show, Darren, and we'll be right back with more franchise interviews.
Franchise interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews. Franchisers, are you looking to reach aspiring entrepreneurs looking to buy a franchise? Are you looking to reach a highly educated audience on franchising? For over 8 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising. our weekly franchise radio show where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts and attorneys, and our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919. That's 610-905-2919.
Hi, everyone. This is Marty McDermott from Franchise Interviews, and welcome to another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising, where each podcast you get to hear a great quote in franchising. And today's podcast is being brought to you by Diamond Financial Services. And if you're looking for a loan to finance your franchise, simply click the Diamond Financial Services logo below. Today's podcast, you're going to get to hear from a legend in entrepreneurship and franchising, and that's Michael Gerber. And we've had Michael on the show 2 times up to this point, and the first time we had him on the show, Don and I were amazed at the amount of emails we received and listeners, and it was really overwhelming and incredibly fun at the same time. One of the questions that we commonly ask on every show is, what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs looking to buy a franchise? And naturally, Michael's response was brilliant. So here we go.
Franchising and entrepreneurship?
Yeah, well, I think before that, Mike, I think a lot of people listening might be a little surprised that your mom still tells you what to do.
No, that's the problem. My mom has never told me what to do. She inspires me to do things that I never thought about doing.
Absolutely. That's great. That's tremendous. Yeah. What advice would you give to a prospective franchisee looking to buy a franchise, Michael?
Well, first of all, understand what you want. It has less to do with the franchise than it does with you. What is it truly important to you to do? This whole new emergence of the dreaming room, for example, really revolves around the idea that struck me that this is the age of the new entrepreneur. And the new entrepreneur is very, very much different than the one who preceded him. The new entrepreneur is more interested in a business that has meaning, not just money. So the whole question for the new entrepreneur or the one who wants to buy a franchise is really, so what's the meaning of this? What's the impact of this on the world? When we begin to look at the world and really realize that the world is in dreadful shape, you wonder then how I, in a business of my own, could have some kind of impact that would add value to the world. So I'd begin to look at franchises from that perspective. What's the value of the franchise? Presuming that I'm going to be successful, what is the value? What do I deliver that has value to my customer? What pride do I get from what it is I'm doing? What am I adding of benefit to the world as opposed to subtracting from the world, presuming, again, I'm going to be successful? So the first thing is, what does this company mean? What is the true meaning of this, and what's the impact and import of it? For me in my life, I'm going to die one day, and I'm going to probably die inside my business. And what I'd like to ask myself is, will I be proud of the fact that I devoted the rest of my life to doing this?
Right.
Would I want to say this to people I love? Would I want to say this to my kids? What am I going to say to them when I describe what I've chosen to do with the years of my life that I'm going to do it in? Because, in fact, you're going to spend the rest of your life in this business or in something very much like it. The second thing I would ask, once I've decided that, yes, this is a worthy thing to do for me, a human being, how organized is this thing that I'm going to do? How organized is it? Does it have a truly kick-ass breakthrough system for doing what it needs to do, which is attract people to it as customers, which is convert those people into active customers and paying customers, and ability to convert those customers into clients, meaning they come back again and again and again and again. So I want to build or buy that capability, or I'm going to then need to build it for myself.
Wow, it's a great. We've been asking that question now since we started the show, Michael. We never got such a great response.
Right.
Thank you.
So really, don't jump into anything quickly. Do your due diligence, and that's a good point. I mean, this might be something you've been doing for a long time. Are you going to be proud of telling people this is what you do?
Proud, yeah.
I mean, that's Marty, you and I have talked about. People just can't jump into something that sounds great. They got to
exactly
they have to go more deeply into their own motivation.
Right.
And that's the thing that's missing almost all the time. Essentially, the prospective franchisee, the guy, the woman who decides they want to buy a business opportunity, essentially they go out there, and the one who pitches the deal the best gets the deal. And I'm essentially saying it's got to turn around the other way. The one who's going out becomes more thoughtful about what I'm looking for, as opposed to simply going out and looking for a good business to run.
Right, absolutely.
So that right there might be a strong characteristic of a successful.
Those are very deep words from Michael. Is talking about the whole, what is this franchise going to mean? How do I want to be remembered? So, again, it's going very deep into that question, but again, it's one of the best responses I think we've had up to this point. And again, it is Michael Gerber. He's sold millions of copies. His latest book is Awakening the Entrepreneur Within, and we had Michael on the show several months ago, and we spoke about the book. And again, he's going to be in Great Quotes and Franchising on several locations. It was hard to decide which one we were going to use first, but this was it. So again, you're going to see Michael again in a couple other editions of Great Quotes and Franchising. That day that we did the show, following us, actually became a friend to the show, Ken Six, who hosts a show called Arbor Talk with Peter Felix. And Ken was also a big fan of Michael Gerber. Here was Ken's reaction following the show. And again, we'll leave you with that. And we'd love to hear your feedback on this edition of Great Quotes and Franchising. And we'll see you soon. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Here we go.
Inventor of the resistograph. And this is, need I say more, Joe? We've got a jam-packed show. Joe, you got to get Marty back on the line. I think that was Michael Gerber on his show.
That was Michael Gerber.
I tell him to call in. That guy he wrote the E-Myth.
He did.
We need Marty to come in for about a minute.
Yeah. That's a very good idea. Let me work on that.
If you're listening, Marty, call us up.
All right, we'll do. All right.
We'll be right back.
Thanks again for everyone for listening, and we'll see you again soon. Take care.